So we were going to start this off just talking a little bit about what got us here and why, like what we went through and everything. Obviously, we both started with kind of recovery content and we've moved away from that in some regards. But I started all this wanting to get off subs. I was on subs after I was doing a decade of cola and drinking, doing pills, all just nonstop, anything and everything I could get my hands on. But I'd say cola, drinking, and oats were probably the biggest things.
Which one did you start with? What was your gateway?
I guess drinking, that's the first thing I went really, really heavy with. And I'd say after that, I got onto Ritalin just a little bit, and that kind of spiraled into something else later on. But Ritalin was the first pill that I actually abused. And
what feeling did that give you when you took it? Did you have like a euphoric feeling, or did you feel like you could do a lot of things productive?
It's weird because I feel like whenever you take anything like that very first time, which a lot of people here probably remember that first time you take something like that, it's like you feel that up and you're excited and you do get that little euphoric feeling and stuff like that. And then it really doesn't take long to be like, now I'm just using this for normal life, and it's not actually doing anything for me, but I'm telling myself it does.
It gets to the point where you cross the line of having fun and it becomes dependence at that point.
You don't actually get a high from it anymore. It's literally just using because you feel like you have to. Even if you aren't dependent on something, you can still get like that to some point because you become tolerant to it. So that little bit isn't actually doing anything for you, but you're like, oh, I gotta have it no matter what.
So when I first started taking things, I felt like when I took whatever I took, it was something that was always missing from my body. Mm-hmm. Like it gave me that completed feeling like, damn, these are the emotions and feelings. It gave me like that warm, fuzzy feeling, a feeling that I don't feel often.
That's probably how I felt taking opiates for the first time.
Right.
It was, yeah. What was your first couple of things that you really experimented with?
Me would be marijuana and alcohol.
So about the same.
And I utilize medical marijuana today.
Right.
But it was definitely something that I used to like go out and hang out with the kids like in the woods, and we would drink and we would have parties and bonfires, and I'd be the girl rolling up, not with the beer. I'd be the girl with the hard alcohol bottle in my hand, like, woo!
Were you like after you started doing that, did you find yourself just like drinking and smoking alone and shit just to chill?
I used to bring alcohol to school with me in a bottle. There was times where I got drunk in school, had people carrying me around in high school. It was to the point where I would put anything into my body and I didn't care. I got really heavy into ecstasy, acid, stuff like that. I was dropping it in my eyes.
Give me a good high school drunk story.
Well, one time, this ain't even a drunk. Well, one time, I'll give you a good story. One time I was at a high school dance, and of course we brought alcohol to the dance. We're the cool kids, right? We got it all. The alcohol then leads to a party afterwards. But as we were drinking, we were also doing ecstasy. And I was doing ecstasy on a daily basis back in that day with my boyfriend. We were doing it multiple times a day. It got to the point where I went to a high school party after a dance. And do you know these things that they have that you can like vibrate someone and it like shocks them?
Yeah.
You can hold it.
Yep.
Well, I was at a party and I was standing there and my whole body felt so good. I was standing there with people surrounding me, electrocuting myself and saying, oh my God, this is the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I just wanted to keep doing it. And I just stood there, and the other people couldn't even tolerate it for a second. But the way that it was like jolting through my body, it felt good.
X is weird. Is really weird because sensations are different. It's like pain. I've seen people who started enjoying pain because they were on X, like they would cut
Right.
themselves or something because of it. Yeah, it's I don't know. I never got big into it. I did it quite a few times, but it was never like a
Oh, I used to
thing.
go to the clubs, the raves, like I was really into it.
I think my worst time getting drunk at school, I got some Smirnoff, and it was before school. I got it like the day before. One of my friends' moms got it for me.
Yeah, you lucked out. You paid the mom's friend and she gave you a homie hookup, right?
Yeah, I don't even think I had to pay her. But she hooked me up, got me a fifth. I decided, oh, I'm gonna start drinking before school. I didn't pace myself, nothing. I started like making out with this chick I was kind of off and on with, and a couple other girls, and like there was a lot going on before school. We all met at the corner, and then I was shit faced. Went to school, went to first hour. It was English, and we were watching the Odyssey, and I legit, it started hitting me. I had my Letterman's jacket that I put on the desk, and I like put my head down, and I was just like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And this dude, Gabe, was right next to me, and he was like, bro, you got to get to the bathroom. I can tell you're about to puke. You got to go. And I was like, I couldn't move because I was fucked. So I started puking in my Letterman's jacket, and it was vodka, and you could smell
Right.
all
I'm
the alcohol.
sure that your breath was reeking at that point.
Oh yeah.
You know, I could remember coming home and my mom would do like a kiss and sniff type deal.
My
She would come near me to see, like, and then she'd always be like, why are your eyes like that? Why are you acting like that?
Me and my mom didn't have that kind of relationship though. Like we didn't do hugs and shit like that. So
Right, I
don't
get
know,
it.
was weird. Yeah, that shit was a mess. I sobered up after I puked a little bit. Ended up in the office waiting on my mom.
And then how did she react? Was she like,
She was pissed, and then like whenever she came in, I still had puke on my shirt. She was pissed. I felt like crap, and then there are like 3 giant hickeys on my neck, and it's just like
we were just talking about hickeys this morning, right?
yeah. It was just, oh, dude, I had to look so rough. And then she was in with the dean, and I tried leaving because I lived really close to the school. So I was like, I'm just going to get away. I have to. And he chased me down, brought me back. They suspended me for 2 weeks. And then after I got back from my suspension, I was like the fucking king of the school because everybody was like, bro, you did some wild shit. And yeah, it actually kind of worked out. But dude, it was fucked up. That was early on too. Those early days, I don't think you realize what you're really doing to yourself.
No, you don't. And honestly, I feel like I self-medicated a lot and played around with a lot of things because my mental health was struggling and I didn't have the right tools. I didn't know what to do.
I mean, I'm sure my mental health was struggling. My parents argued all the time.
Right.
I was I didn't have a lot of friends until I got into like middle school. I started making some good friends because my dad was violent and scared a lot of kids off. So it was just me until middle school. And then once I started working and making friends there and everybody wanted to drink and party and do their thing, of course I went with them because then I started I was finally single for the first time in a while since I started really letting loose. And then on top of that, it was just like I could kind of do what I wanted somewhat because my parents were too busy fucking fighting half the time. So yeah, it was a weird space. I don't think there was really crazy mental health stuff going on though.
But do you think that trauma from your childhood had anything to do with you wanting to escape?
Maybe it made me not want to be home as much for sure. But I mean, it wasn't, I've never really been like, oh, the things that my parents were doing caused me to be really upset later on or as a kid or anything like that. I just dealt with it. I was more, I think the way my mom acted, I was more frustrated with that because she was just so fucking crazy. I had to be gone all the time. Being around her was hard.
Right. It affected your mental health probably in a negative way, and
Sure.
you just needed that escape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Right.
really it. Because how was it growing up for you? Like, I remember we talked about this, but was family kind of up and down?
I grew up in a very strict Italian household where my father's the boss. My mother listens to what he says, and that's just the way that it is.
Hmm.
I live my life differently, though, today. I'm the one that's trying to break that cycle of like, you listen to the man and you do what the man says.
Sure.
Because honestly, I tried that and it didn't work out for me. So I just feel like I'm trying to break some of those walls down that I was taught in life.
Do you think that, well, obviously it's been hard, but do you think it's working?
I've had to back away from my family a lot. I've had
Yeah.
to put up a lot of walls in my recovery. And honestly, some people you just can't have contact with. It's just a thing. Like, once I do have communication with my family, but it's minimal. I really truly feel alone.
Do you feel like subconsciously, in your past relationship and with your kids and everything, do you think you still had kind of that submissive behavior where you did kind of teach the
Absolutely.
kids listen to your dad, and it kind of hurt them listening to you? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And that's what I'm trying to undo right now. A lot of the things a lot of the ways that I was trying to raise my children, I realized that I made some mistakes along the way. I did. And I am woman enough to admit that I made some mistakes, and I'm trying to work on those mistakes and fix them. It takes time. Um, it takes relearning new ways, and that's hard sometimes when you're so used to certain things.
So you're basically saying you're a parent and you're not perfect with raising your kids. Are you crazy? What's
Well, you know what it is? I'm going to be honest. My parents always pushed for perfection. When
right?
I was a child, everything had to look just so from the outside. That right there was the catalyst that really mentally effed me up, because it taught me that, oh my God, this has to be perfect. I went down this whole thing of body dysmorphia because of perfectionism. I would have never did that.
Do you think you felt like shame and stuff whenever you had stuff
Absolutely.
like
Oh my
that?
God. Absolutely. And then I live my life a lot differently than my parents, and they don't like that.
Right.
Like, I'm the type of person that could just go on the whim. Like, I'll be home and I'll be like, let's pack a bag. We're going away for the weekend. My mom thinks I'm crazy for that.
Do you think that started younger, like with the ecstasy thing, and you're in the middle of a bunch of people and you're doing the shock thingy? Like, do you feel like people started looking at you a different way, and it wasn't that perfect girl, so you felt shame even whenever you were
Oh my
younger?
God, yeah. Even when I started my addiction, my parents were so ashamed of the daughter that they had. It's the truth. They were ashamed of the choices that I was making. And I I did. I made some poor choices. My addiction led me to places that I never wanted it to bring me, stealing from stores, doing things that weren't congruent with who I truly was inside.
I would steal back whenever I was in like eighth grade, freshman year, kind of around there, and I don't even really know why I would steal. Like,
Right.
I would just do it because I wanted something.
Well, when I started taking benzos, I didn't care. Kyle, I would walk into like a furniture store, no joke, and just like grab a couch, like something huge, and just be like, bye, and run. Because I could get away with it. I was getting away with so much stuff. But that's not who Marie really is inside. Like today,
Right.
I wouldn't take a pack of gum from someone. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I give back today. Like I'm the complete opposite. And if you're hearing this and you think that you can never make it through to the other side, we're living proof right here.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if I did that stuff just because like we were so broke and I couldn't have anything and all that. So it was like,
That's why I started.
yeah, I would do simple stuff too. So it's weird. Go ahead.
So when I first was with my kid's father, I needed to maintain my habit, right?
Right.
So I started, it was to the, like he would work, but he wouldn't give me money. So it's like I never had anything. Like he would never give me anything. He always held the money. So it made it to the point where I had no choice but to go steal. He
Right.
literally gave me no choice.
I wish somebody would have taught me, like, even if it was something simple in school, money management and like really being able to take care of myself, because I would do stupid shit. Like I'd go spend all my money the second I got it instead of save. And then once I got a job and figured out what it really took to work, that's when I finally started saving. But it's still, I wasn't good at it until later on in life. And then I became addicted to drugs, and that went out the window. So,
Right. I've lost cars. I've had perfect credit. I've had cars repossessed. I've lost my home. I've lost everything. Everything.
dude, I just opened up the first credit card I've ever had yesterday. Not yesterday.
Wow.
It was like 3 days ago. Our washer dryer broke. Well, our dryer broke for some reason. It just stopped drying, and we were thinking about getting it fixed. And I was just like, we might as well just buy a new one, whatever. And I was like, we don't have enough that I really feel comfortable spending that money, because what if something else happens? So I got a credit card and did all that shit, and I was like, it broke something in me.
Well, that's how I am. I have credit cards, but I like to pay cash for everything.
Yeah.
And I need a nest egg saved. I have to have money saved. I do not live with nothing today. It is not something that I am willing to do.
Well, and of course, after all that happened, we did that so we could kind of save some money and just spread it out a little bit. And as they're delivering the washer dryer and getting everything in the other day, we found out that more of the plumbing in the house is jacked up, and two of the valves that are back there to shut off the water were broken. And the people that were doing the install were idiots. And of course, I wasn't here. So we had to have a plumber come out, and $700 later, two valves are replaced. It was just like, dude, and the shit they did was so simple. It's stuff that I could have done. And
Right.
it was, granted, the valves were broken, but we still don't have a washer dryer. We have to have them come back, because the guy was freaking out so much because he didn't realize that, like, even whenever you shut off the water, the line has to empty. So water kept coming out. So he was freaking out about it. But yeah, it just, dude, shit like that. I remember when shit like that would really bug me, though.
Right.
Like, fuck me up to the point where I had to go leave so I could use to tell myself that it would all be okay.
How do you handle unexpected things that throw you for a loop today? Like, what is your first coping mechanism that helps you get through those moments?
I don't know. I usually need to stop for a second, like no matter what's going on. Get even if it's like 1 minute, literally, that's all I need. 1 minute, collect myself, and then I can get back to doing what I'm doing. I don't really need that much in the moment because I'm so used to so much going on. Just I handle my business, and then later on, I usually I need to be able to sit down and play my game or hang out with Shan or do something.
To
And
decompress, right?
yeah, and that's the hard thing. I was telling you a little bit ago, I just went literally 11 days straight where I barely had time to pee. I haven't hardly ate anything for days. I mean, not taking care of myself, but I had so freaking much that I had to do. And then just last night, I finally almost got a second, and I had such a bad headache, like I couldn't even function. So
I know it's like you're constantly living in fight or flight mode. Like it just never stops. I feel the same.
which like I said, I'm good with that. I'm okay. I'm okay being busy and having to handle business. It's just whenever it can't stop and then other things are coming at you, like I can handle whatever the hell I need to handle as
Right.
long as Shan and the kids are good and I can come home and just spend some time with them or whatever I need to do. I'm good. I can take on whatever. But whenever you have shit like you're that busy, I haven't really like been able to spend time with Carson or Jackson or Talon or anybody. And then me and Shan haven't got to do anything lately. So me and her kind of on edge. And it's
right. It's hard when you're in a relationship and you can't keep putting back into that relationship.
right.
Right.
And even for a short amount of time, because like we don't need much. Just we can sit and watch a TV show or something and just be together, and it's fine. Like that's all I need. But when we can't even get that, that's when it starts to like shit starts unwinding. But I don't know. You've been doing it kind of alone for a while now.
Honestly, I love doing it on my own. I feel like it's no different now than it was before. Because before I had the other person here, but they weren't present. So it was like I've been on my own. I want to say this. When a woman is done with a man, she detaches long before the relationship actually comes to an end.
How do you think that detachment usually happens?
You just start to trauma. Just when that person's constantly doing things and not on the same page as you, you just start going your opposite ways with things. Like we were never on the same page. Just like when you get to the point when that person comes near you and you want to cringe, I just knew it was done.
Yeah.
And that's how it got. Like it got to the point when we were in the same space, it was just like, oh, my skin's crawling being around you.
Well,
and that's not a good feeling to have as a woman.
Well, and you keep saying that about it being as a woman. What do you think happens on the man side? Like, where do you see the perspective being kind of different?
I think women internalize things more than men sometimes. Like, for me, like to be intimate, also, like, a woman has to feel comfortable when there's all these things and things going on in their head. They can't lay down with someone.
Right.
I can't. I know I can't. So that's when I start detaching. When I feel like there's just a wall, like, and then you try to work on things. Dude, I tried therapy. I went to therapy. I was present with him. We tried. It just didn't work out.
Well, and I think I see exactly what you're saying, because you're right. It's if a woman is stressed out.
Yeah, men just need a heartbeat. Thank you, BK. Thank you.
The difference is women can't get intimate whenever they're dealing with a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
Guys almost need that when they're dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, because it helps. It's like a release.
So for me, it got to the point where when the other person would just even be in my, like, I couldn't even be like,
right.
It gives you this feeling where you just feel like you're skeeve that person.
It's interesting. You said women internalize things more, because I feel like guys do a lot. Women are more expressive, but I guess it also depends on what that thing is.
I feel like a man, anything goes. Like I might be wrong, but my experience, and I just can't lay down at the end of the day with someone that there's been so much trauma building up, like cheating, lying, like all of it. Like I don't want that. That's not what I want.
And neither do guys. I don't know. Maybe guys try and distance themselves differently.
Well, that's what happened. I started distancing myself. You know what's funny? Well, kind of ironic. I was looking at my phone. You know how the phone has memories? Mm-hmm. I was looking at my phone, and 3 years ago this week is when I tried to first leave Joe.
Damn, it's been that long.
It's been 3 years that I've been really trying my hardest to get away.
So it took about 2 years?
It took about 3 years.
How long's it been now?
It's been 8 months now.
I was going to say it's been a while.
It has been a while. And the thing is I do feel like I'm starting to heal. I finally feel a little bit lighter, if that makes any sense to you. Because when you constantly are in that, like, it's hard to be around someone like that.
Are you, whenever you're in a relationship and you're happy, are you an affectionate person?
Oh, I'm definitely affectionate.
Are you?
So I stopped being affectionate because I was skeeved.
I kind of wonder if that's part of it too. It's because I'm thinking of all the aspects. Because
No, like, see, it's Kyle. It has been so many years since I felt that feeling of like real love. Like,
right,
I don't want someone to be a roommate. I don't want to look at you and you're on this side of the bed and I'm on that side of the bed. No, what is that?
right,
Like,
yeah,
I want to
no,
be able to
that's
lay like on top in your, yeah, like,
yeah,
no, dude,
yeah,
no. It
yeah.
gets tiresome after a while. And then as a woman, sometimes when you have children and those children are constantly on top of you and you're responsible for every single thing with those children, you get worn down mentally sometimes. And that, like the bed shit, that's the last thing on my mind. Dude, I'm piled down with kids all day.
I always get really interested hearing you talk about this stuff, just because the way you look at it is it's
Say it.
well, no, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it because it's unique because it's almost like just because I feel like no one's actually shown you the respect that you should get as a woman. So you
Right.
just the way you perceive things is different. Like it's not how it should be.
Right. And then that is trauma right there talking. That is a person that's trying to work through years of being disrespected. Years. Like
Yeah.
how, I don't know, it's just disrespect on another level that I dealt with.
Well, and that's the problem. That's something that Shane and I run into a lot because she spent years with her ex and he like just the manipulation was crazy. And it's to the point she thinks that like I'm trying to do certain things to her. And I'm like,
Right.
hold on, why are you even thinking this way? And it all falls back when we really break it down. It's how things were with her ex. And Shane and I have been together for 8 years now. Like
Right.
there's been a good amount of time. So just the fact that she's still trying to find ways to get out of how she was treated, it's crazy. It's
Right. And as a woman, I think we internalize that differently than a man. I don't know. Because women are more emotional.
right, right,
So I've been in three relationships my whole entire life. Three. One was with my childhood, like high school sweetheart. We were
yes,
together for almost 15 years. Then I had a little 2 year relationship. Then I had an 18 year, or it was almost 18 years. But I when I commit to someone, I'm in it for, I don't give up, even when I'm not happy.
right. Do you think that's because the kids, or if the kids weren't there, would you still try?
If I only tried probably for the kids, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because I would have left a long time ago.
Do you think that's a good thing though? Like trying to stay with someone because kids.
Nope. I
I,
learned that in therapy because you know what? In my opinion, my kids you could cut the tension in my house with a knife. Go
right,
back 8 months ago. It
right.
was bad. And that caused a lot of unnecessary trauma, unfortunately, for my kids that I'm trying my hardest to work through right now because they lost that other parent. That other parent is no longer present in their life. And I'm not going to take the blame for that because it was someone else's actions and they need to be accountable for that, not me.
That's interesting you say that too, because at least from what I know, and I feel like I know a decent amount about it all, but I'm not saying you aren't at fault at all, but you aren't responsible for what happened in the long run, just in my opinion. So the
Right.
fact that you even felt like you needed to say that, why do you think you felt like you had to say that? Do you feel responsible in some ways?
Well, I feel guilty. I feel bad. I mean, I took my
Do what you gotta do. Let it out, man. We're doing
my
therapy.
my kids right now, some of they're mad because yeah, dad's not present right now. But that's not my fault. Like I've
So,
done enough therapy to know that someone else's mental health and their actions have nothing to do with me. Like if you want to go on the internet and act like a complete moron, so be it.
Why do you think whenever that parent that isn't as beneficial and isn't actually doing anything, because we have the same thing on our end, that parent that honestly just sucks and barely even wants to be a parent, for some reason the kids idolize that person, and then whenever you guys split up, they shit on you and act like it's your fault when they're actively like not being a parent. You know what I mean?
Right. And the thing is when you're dealing with a narcissist, and I mean this, the
Mhm.
smear campaign, you've witnessed it. I mean, it's sad how that goes down, to be honest with you, especially when you've been with somebody for such a long period of time. It was very hard for the other person to understand that I was done. And when you're
Right.
done, you're just done. Like when you have nothing left to give, you have nothing left to give. And honestly, that makes me, I don't want to move on. Like I don't want to be with anyone.
Right. Well, in motives, the motives kind of, I can't think of the word. The motives kind of dictate how the situation goes. Just because if you split up with somebody and someone is trying to get back with the other person and they're really trying and it's because they love them, it's a very different experience than someone who is trying to get back because they've always owned that person
Right.
and they have no other chance. And I feel like whenever you're in that second situation, it does turn into a downward spiral.
I'm nervous, to be honest with you, because I'm going to be starting to supervise visits with my kids soon. And that's going to be for 2 hours every other week at a visitation center where, with the 4 kids, they're going to have 2 people type in what those 2 kids say. And there's going to be 2 adults type in everything word for word. The whole entire visit is going to be recorded, typed, everything. And I had to go sign off on that. And that makes me feel super uncomfortable because of my DCF trauma. I'm not going to lie.
Why are they doing it that way?
Because there was a restraining order. There was restraining order violations that occurred. And the judge felt that that was the safest way for Dad and I to communicate because we're not communicating. It's just not working with him.
So
I was willing, Kyle, in the beginning, I was truly willing to co-parent. I kicked him out. I changed the locks. I had him coming back to my house. He would go to work. He would come here for like 10 hours a day and go sleep at a shelter at night. But that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. And it just kept continuing.
Well, and you and I, whenever all that was happening, you and I talked a lot about that, just how unhealthy that can get to. So,
Right. It got very unhealthy for me. It got to the point where I was constantly looking over my shoulder because honestly, I thought he was going to snap. He looked like he was about to snap mentally.
I mean, it's kind of happened a couple of times already.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the thing is he really doesn't take accountability. So he really truly believes he didn't do anything wrong.
And that's just part of your relationships were so unhealthy that's how it's your serious relationships, regardless who it is, friends, relatives, anything. There were so many unhealthy relationships that is your basis for how they work almost.
Right. And it almost like tainted the way that I think.
Right.
And I agree. Because I have people that'll hit me up like, and want to like talk or flirt or whatever. And I don't want, because I'm so scared to open that door again. I don't want to open up that door again because you know what? I'm sick and tired of getting disrespected.
Do you feel like you have poor judgment on whenever it comes to like relationships in that regard?
Definitely, but I can recognize a red flag today.
Sure. Okay.
I got a lot of red flags in my inbox, believe it or not.
You did.
And today I could weed them out because honestly, I was talking to my therapist about this. My biggest fear, because I have had even family relationships have been toxic.
Right.
So it's like, I'm really trying to break that cycle for my kids and show them, like, if you're not happy, you don't have to put up with that shit. You walk away from anyone.
I see it because, and I don't want to put all the nonsense out there, but I mean, like you and I have talked a couple of times now. Like you almost feel like someone's after you all the time, and it's just like that's what.
It's an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, because so what I was getting at with that was even Aaron had said you should just start dating again. But whenever you're feeling like that and like all your experience has come from these,
They're all red flags. Hey, every single person that has already tried, I see the red flags already. It's crazy. I've even shared them with some of my friends. Like, I'll be like, dude, look at this. Right away, a red flag. Like, I'm not interested.
well, and I feel like you don't trust your own judgment sometimes just because it has been so bad in the past. It's like, oh, what if I really do like a guy and I don't see red flags? Can I trust that there really are no red flags?
Right. And Erin is saying, she said I should take the time to heal first before dating. And I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why, even though I've been detached for 3 years, because that memory came up on my phone, I really, truly am 8 months free, but I have no interest in moving. Like right now, my focus is my kids, my house, getting things back in order, healing properly, so that if I ever do put myself back out there, I'm not going to set myself up for the failure that I've already experienced.
Sure.
But I also still don't trust my gut.
What do you feel like you're accomplishing in therapy?
So in therapy, I feel like I'm building confidence in myself. My therapy has taught me to just go out there and do what you got to do, Marie. Like, I was just talking to my therapist about this the other day. When I had to go for my surgery and I had to leave for North Carolina, I had plane tickets bought. That I had to waste those plane tickets. That money just got wasted because my kid's father was like, I'm not helping you. Yeah. So I was like, okay, it made me nervous, but guess what? Him being like that actually was what made me heal and grow. That right there just helped me elevate me, because I used that as exposure therapy. I got the kids in the car. I knew I already paid for the surgery. Boom, I have to go.
If you don't have that push, do you feel like you won't grow?
So that one push has helped me to continue to do more things with the kids. I've taken them to multiple beach trips this summer. We've gone to hotels. We've gone to pools. I got a pool pass. We've gone multiple different places. Instead of me isolating myself now, I go out. I enjoy myself. I have fun. I wear what I want to wear. I don't care. I feel more free.
Which is good. Have you ever felt like that another time at all in your life?
Like what?
Like you're free. Like you can do what you want and make your own choices to some degree, at least.
Years ago, before my addiction, like when I was in my I was a hard worker. I was always the type of person that liked making money, would have the brand new car, would swap it out every few years. Like, I really tried to, like, that's how I was. But I lost all that. I lost myself. I lost my independence. When I broke up with my first boyfriend, that really made me spiral. I spiraled because I didn't have closure with that relationship. And that right there, because I really did love him, hurt.
And I don't know how this turned into a therapy session, but
I don't know either.
I love it. But okay. So let's break this down because I like it. So your example of being free was financial independence and the fact that like you had your car, you had your thing that you could.
Right. So I went. So basically, I went from a financially independent woman to a woman that just got with someone because I had like nowhere to go. I was dependent on pills. I had nowhere to go. When I first met Joe, I just ran with him. Like I feel like he saw the opportunity and just grabbed me.
Yeah.
Right. And I just went with it. And At first, I really did truly love him and I put my all into my relationship. And then I started to realize that certain things weren't right. Like, he would never give me money. Like, I never would have a dollar in my pocket. Do you know what that feels like as a woman to never have something, but have a man like it felt like financial abuse, honestly, at first. And it was like that for years.
You
And
felt
then it
like you
turned
were.
into, once I got into my recovery, he took advantage because he saw me starting to grow and he took a back seat and just sat back and let me pay and take care of everything.
Okay. Okay. So I wanna grab two things from that. So first off, with the car thing, you mentioned that you had to keep, upgrading and stuff like that. Do you feel like part of that was uh,
Image.
the image, the perfectionist side?
Right.
So it's interesting that you talk about, even though you were still acting under those terms, you still felt like you were free at that time.
Right.
Like, it does so after all this has happened, you've been through that, all the addiction, everything. Do you still feel like you are in that mind space? Like it has to be perfect?
I don't search for perfection today.
Okay.
Today, I know that perfection doesn't exist. And that's what therapy has taught me.
Okay. Okay.
Now, sometimes I struggle because I try, like it comes back every now and then where like I'm focusing on something, say maybe like making a YouTube thumbnail or something, and I try and I think that it's a certain way, but then it's like I still search for that perfectionism. Like my car has to be a certain way. My kids cannot eat my car. Like my car looks all the time because there ain't not a paper in the like I keep it because that's me. That's my one space that's mine.
Well, and that's okay. Like I feel like that's a fair thing to have, is have a ask for a clean space, one clean space at least.
Right.
And we talked about, because Marie and I were talking about this before we got on, like the YouTube thumbnails and just going through some of the things that we have discussed. Because like whenever you're making them, there's all types of stuff to it. If you never had to make a thumbnail, be happy because it's just stressful.
But you know, like over the years, yeah, over this past year, it's been crazy, right?
Right. It's just it's something, the creative freedom and stuff that you mentioned. I feel like you feel like you need that, because if you don't do it yourself, it's not perfect almost. No, that's not even the right word. Do you see where I'm going
Right.
with?
There's times where I feel like I try to still search. Like I'll have an idea and I'll think it's perfect in my head, but it's not perfect in someone else's head, or like
Or changing it could mess it all up. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Yeah. Okay. I see
It's
what you're
hard
saying.
because listen, there's a lot of healing that goes into our recovery journey, and we're all in different places in our healing. Sometimes that unhealed version comes back out.
That's okay.
She comes out
Hey,
to play sometimes.
we can always build on ourselves though and be better, no
Right.
matter
We can
what.
continue to grow and
Yep.
work together and figure things out. When I commit to things, I commit in the long run. Like when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I don't do it and flip flop.
No, no, I feel you. I feel you, and that's a good quality to have. I mean, I
Right.
feel like I've been like that. Okay, I want to go back because there was another part of that. What did you see in Joe that made you feel like you loved him?
At first,
Hmm.
because I was homeless when I met him. So he just like grabbed me and it was a place to live. But at first, yeah, I did. I did. We were going out to bars, clubs, having fun. Like it was fun at first until it wasn't fun anymore.
Can you think of the qualities though? Like, what were those qualities that actually like even attracted you to him?
I don't know.
Just
To
that he
be
had a
honest with you,
house.
looking back now, I don't know because I'm so not attracted to him. I have no idea. I don't know how I ended up staying with him and having kids with him, to be honest with you.
Because it kind of seemed like it was. maybe it was never love, but it was just, it was a, like you said,
A
perfect
trauma bond.
opportunity.
I think
Yeah.
there was trauma bonds. I will say this. He had a very rough childhood, and I think that I bonded immediately to his negative childhood and like wanted to mother him.
What about the other two boyfriends, especially the one that you actually really, really cared about?
So my first boyfriend I was with for almost 15 years. We were
Right.
high school sweethearts, everything. When we broke, we never broke up. Our
Right.
families put us apart because of our
Right.
addiction. He had to go down to Florida. I had to stay up here. I really wanted to chase him down there. But if I chased him down there, I would probably be where he is right now. Gone. We were
What
no good together. We were good together at first, but then we started using together.
were the qualities though whenever you guys were together and you first started actually hanging out? Was it the fact that you guys were experiencing things that you never had before because you started using together, and that was the draw to him?
No. So we didn't start using together until we were like 10 years in our relationship, which is crazy. Like we had a really good
That's
relationship. And then
that's right.
all of a sudden,
Yep.
I started bringing like, I was popping perks at work because I was waitressing. Some dude gave me one. And I remember driving home and my boyfriend, my ex, he didn't have a license because he was on his third DUI by the time he was 21. Put it to you that way. So I was like a mother to him also. I like to mother people, and that's what I'm trying not to do this time around. I don't want to be a man's mother. That's not what I'm looking for.
Well, okay, so because I want to try and focus on this one part so we can get through something. I'm seeing how I do therapist wise. um, so what was it at the very beginning? Like, obviously, I'm sure you found him attractive and stuff like that. But what were those subtle things that really? Do you remember what the subtle things were that
It was that young love, like those hormones are raging. 13 years old, just meeting someone like that person wanting to do things with me, wanting to be around me. Like I felt good. It made me feel good to have somebody that was interested in me.
So another person showing you attention whenever you didn't have it, and
But was consistent with it. See, there's the difference. Like really always there, not like fluctuating. Somebody that was solidly there all the time for me.
right, okay.
Consistency that I never had before.
Okay, so what about afterwards? What about the next one?
Afterwards, I didn't know what to do, so I just jumped from one unhealed relationship to the next. And I stayed with that person for like a year, a little over a year, and it was just I didn't know what to do situation, like I
Right.
lost my like wanting to be loved. Put it to you that way by the wrong people.
Well, and that's the thing, because I remember we've gone through your story so many times. I almost can't keep track of it at this point. So now that you are done with those relationships, and every single relationship was kind of built out of just wanting something more, being in a bad position, and having someone that could throw you a lifeboat, and then you end up taking over and turning into the thing holding everything afloat as it is. Now that you aren't looking for someone specifically, do you think, since you aren't looking and you don't really need anything, you could actually make a good choice with someone because you don't have that thing?
I do, because I'm starting to see red flags in people, and I'm excited that I see these red flags. I have a few people that I've already noticed red flags with that message me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a definite red flag there. Okay. Only certain times of the day that you get messaged.
Well, part of the problem is too nowadays, like, it's different now. It's way different than it used to
Right.
be.
And
Huh.
like I don't like how dating is these days. Like people want to just send pictures and like I'm good. I'm good.
Would you, in this, obviously right now you aren't worried about it, but would you ever get on a dating app or something?
I thought about it. My best friend was like, Marie, get on a dating app and just talk to everyone. Don't go out and hang out with them. Just flirt with them. You know what I mean? She's like, it's good because you need to learn how to flirt with people. But honestly, I don't want to do that because I don't have the time to even do that with my freaking kids up my ass. It's the truth.
Okay, so let's say you didn't have any kids. Just for a second. What do you think you would be doing?
Just exercising, going to the gym, the things I already do now, pretty much.
Okay.
But I honestly, I have no interest. I think that I really truly believe I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Like, I really believe that.
So even besides the guys or whatever too, there's nothing else you would want to do besides just the average day to day? Like, really?
Honestly, I'm thinking about going back to school.
Okay.
I would like to go back to school.
What for?
I would like to go back to school to help other people that are struggling. I don't know, maybe like therapy, something like that. I got to see because honestly, I have to seal my Corey.
Sure. Okay.
And that has a lot to do with what I might be able to do in my future because I have prescription fraud charges. I would love to get into like healthcare, nursing, something like that. I got prescription fraud charges. I mean,
yeah, but only psychologists can actually prescribe, so you probably wouldn't ever be able to become a psychologist.
Right. I would never be. I don't know. I just want something more out of life. I want to be able to have that financial independence to be able to like go on a trip. Like I want to travel more. I don't want any man holding me back in life. Like if I want to go, I'm going. Nope.
I'm just trying to think because sometimes whenever you do, like the kids are all up your butt and it's just stress and stress and stress every day. You can kind of get stuck.
And a lot of men don't understand that either. Like they'll text you and like I have kids. I'm in the middle. Like I ain't sending you no picture right that like I am literally dealing with kids cussing back at me and whatever. Right. Like,
see, and I think part of that is just your past experience, just because you haven't dealt with a man that, you know, is actually doing things. Because I'm trying to think, where could you go and what could you start with, like right now, literally just this second, so that you could start moving forward with what you want to do and all your goals and everything. Because like I said, you can get stuck in a rut whenever it's the day-to-day being like hounded by the kids. So school is a plus. That's cool.
So school's starting soon. All 4 of my kids are going to be in the same school, which makes my schedule a lot easier because I don't have to go from one school to the next school, picking kids up at different times.
Sure.
Easier.
Sure.
That takes a lot off of my plate, to be honest with you. Then once school starts, I'm going to continue doing my therapies, but also I would like to look into becoming like a recovery coach or recovery special, like a peer support type of thing. Because my therapist told me where I go to therapy has like a class. I could just do it. And she's like, I could get you a job here in a second.
That is a professional goal. What about just goal in life outside of recovery?
I would like to be more stable. Like I want to get out of where I live. I'm trying to move.
Sure.
Find a different place for the kids. And you know, continue healing as a family. That's what my main focus is on. It's not about going out and dating and going on dates and dating websites, because I just feel like my time is right now so monopolized.
Sure. And
I got all this court shit going on all the time. It's like, who wants to talk? Like, I'm busy.
I'm trying to think of what you can do for you, though. Like that's kind of the next step. You've got where you want to go career wise. You got what you want for your family and as a whole. But what is the thing that you can do for you to better yourself besides therapy and all that? Like that'll help over time in little bits. But what's something that you can literally focus on every single second?
To keep learning how to love myself.
Okay.
Because that's where...
No, you're good.
That's where I'm broken. For me, it's a self-love thing, and that's what it's always goes back to. Childhood, never loving myself, never really being loved, I feel like, the right way by the right people.
Right. Do you can you identify some of the things that you do love about yourself now?
I love the fact that I had the courage to do what I did for
Sure.
me, to do something that was super hard for me to walk away from a relationship that wasn't serving me anymore was very hard for me to do.
Sure.
Um, right now, I'm just trying to continue staying motivated to keep crossing things off the list. Like, I don't want my motivation to go.
Okay. So do you feel like you're, because I want things you really love about yourself, and that just seems like something you just want.
I don't know. It's hard to, it's hard for me to, I think that I love about me. I think I'm caring.
Okay.
I'm compassionate and empathetic. I feel like I'm overly empathetic though. And that's
Sure.
what kicks me in the ass. It always comes back to bite me in the ass because I'll give and 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 I'll give until I have nothing left to give to someone.
And that, I feel like that could be part of the problem, because I mean, we've talked about multiple times, you got to focus on you a little bit more, and you
Right.
are giving so much that it's hard. What are some things you don't like about yourself?
I don't like the fact that I'm so stubborn sometimes.
Sure.
Like, I'm very set in my ways and stubborn. I'm a Taurus.
I know.
I'm like,
I
right.
know you are. You drive me crazy.
Right. But sometimes that stubbornness works in my benefit, though.
Sure. Right.
I
'Cause
know how to use it both ways.
I think one thing that you could possibly work on is identifying the difference between being stubborn and motivated. Because
Right.
you said that on both sides, that you're happy that you're motivated, but you don't like that you're so stubborn. So finding a middle ground, maybe.
Right. Finding that balance is hard sometimes because my personality is like one way. It has to be done one way.
Sure.
But I've learned that no, you got to let some of that go. Like with my kids in my house, the
Yep.
kids have so many toys. I don't want to look at all your pink and purple freaking toys all around because it makes me overstimulated and overwhelmed. But also, I've learned to sit with that uncomfortable feeling because they're only kids and they're only going to be kids for so long. I'm only going to see them ugly pink and red toys all over my house for so long.
Which is part of life, and,
Right.
and it's.
But
don't
I
know
feel
what
like
I'll
I
do.
identify more as a mother than anything else. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
It does. All right.
Like, that's my identity. Like, first and foremost, today I'm a mother because you know what? Years ago, I couldn't be a mother.
Sure, and and that's something to be very, very proud of, and think about every time you are getting down on yourself, or you feel like you're failing with the kids or whatever it may be. Think about how far you have come since then. You don't have to worry about your kids getting taken away today. You don't have to
Right.
worry about not being able to feed them or whatever, because you're at least available, and
Right.
that's
Today
it.
I'm present. Right.
Right.
Before I wasn't. And there's things that I still need to work on balance with, you know, like
Sure.
the balance between trying to help other people and being present with here in the house and, you know, being pulled 50 different directions
I
sometimes.
I feel like that's become a big thing just with society in general, just because of social media and stuff. I don't even think that's just a you thing, homie. I think that happens with a lot of people. That's why I literally have times of the day where, even though it's really hard, I put my phones
Me
upstairs,
too.
turn them off.
You got to put your phone down. I have
Yep.
my phone on do not disturb a lot to protect my own peace.
Yep. That way.
Because my phone is constantly dinging. And
Yes.
sometimes when you're already overstimulated and you're all the way up here and like say you're driving and your phone's dinging with 50 million messages from people. And you're like, oh my God, I'm trying to follow the GPS. I can't stay focused. The kids are, and it's like, if one more person sends me a text message, this phone is going out the freaking window. That's
Or
how I
it's
feel
like
sometimes.
it's like all that is happening, and then all of a sudden something actually goes wrong, and it's like that little tiny thing that may have gone wrong turns into a giant thing, and
Right.
it gets really bad. Okay. So I want to try and stay on track. What are some other things that you don't like about yourself?
I have a lot of my family's ways that I'm trying to undo.
Okay.
Like generational stuff that I'm trying to undo because it was like built into me. Like that was built into me. And I'm trying to take those pieces out of myself and like rebuild myself as a different person because I don't want to hide everything under the carpet. I lived my life secretive for years. I'm done that. I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to like honestly, TikTok is therapeutic for me. I find it therapeutic even with the hard things in my life because it gets them off of my chest. So
Sure.
so for me, it really helps.
Do you feel like since you felt so alone for so long, the only reason why you do you put your business out there on such a wide scale, it's because you felt so alone for so long? Like instead of just talking to a group of friends or certain people or whatever, you do it to the world because you felt so alone.
Right. Also, I feel like social media is a huge source of support for me, believe it or not. That's my people. Like I feel like I finally found my people.
We built communities on it.
Right.
That's what's great about social
Right.
media.
And like if something's going bad in my life, I come right to TikTok. I don't have that family member that's really supportive to me. I don't. I really truly don't. And
Right.
I built family here and established friendships that will last a lifetime.
Right. Do you, just because this has kind of became your outlet, obviously there's a little bit of a struggle with balance on being present in the moment and stuff like that. So I think those are all related, obviously. So it gets a little interesting. I feel like you just got to kind of set boundaries with yourself and maybe not share everything on here. Maybe that could help you in some ways because you want to keep some things just for you or for somebody else, whatever.
Right. I don't share it all.
Right.
Trust me, there's a lot of
I
things.
know.
I could have came out with things in a completely different way. If
I
I
know.
really wanted to, I really could have ran my mouth and like blew up. But I chose not to do that.
Which, yeah, I know. We've talked about a fair amount of that. But no, I'm kind of thinking about the ways that you could even improve upon trying to fix those things. And I feel like it's all a lot of balance, which it's hard to balance things whenever it's chaos going on. All right, give me one more thing. One more thing that you don't like about yourself.
Then I'm a control freak. I am.
Are you sure?
No, gotta let that shit go.
Okay.
But it is. It's like it's built into me because my father is the same way. Very, very, very controlling.
This is something that kind of Marie and I were talking about beforehand, and we'll keep using the thumbnails because it's an easy example. Whenever we make a thumbnail for YouTube, that's up to Marie. I do the editing for the video. Marie makes the thumbnail, and then we kind of put it together. But usually we will work on it together a little bit and discuss, hey, what do we want to put for it? All that stuff. And Marie shared that she felt like she's losing control whenever, like, she'll ask, what do you want in the thumbnail? And I'll say, that this and this and this might not be bad. And then she'll put it out and we change it or something. And it's just little fixes here and there and take a picture away, whatever. And what you were feeling like you didn't have your creative control just because we were working on things, and you felt like I was kind of like telling you what to do, almost like it has to be this way.
I honestly felt like you were telling me like what you're doing, Marie, isn't good enough and it's not going to work. And it's the reason why some of these videos might not be taken off.
See, okay, and this is what
And I don't know anything about that. So it's like, and when I do a thumbnail, I really try my hardest. Like sometimes it'll be hours and hours of playing with stuff and moving stuff around and kids. And I'm like, oh,
That's the
if I
hard
don't get this
part.
thumbnail perfect, Kyle's going to kill me. You know what I mean? That's how I feel sometimes.
So, in my discussion with Marie was, first off, I'm not going to kill you ever. Like, yeah, some of the things whenever I'm kind of direct, and this is something that I don't know, I need to work on in some regards. But like whenever I see a thumbnail, I will list out everything that's like, okay, I think these things could change, should change, whatever. You can even keep that thumbnail and make a brand new one based on these things. And it's just options and giving practice. And I didn't, I guess, realize how far you were thinking I was taking it, like you thought I was pushing you. I'm just telling you what could make a good thumbnail, in my opinion, and we put those together. So it's
right,
like,
and I think as a woman, sometimes I think differently than you. Like what you think is something like what you would click on, I might not, and vice versa. And we've had that conversation before too.
and part of it is, and it's all content creation and YouTube and all that stuff. You have to play around with things, and that's kind of the direction I'm trying to lead it. And it's taken as like I'm telling you to fix something or that it's wrong, and you know it's not. We've had this discussion,
Right.
but I wonder. I'm trying to figure out where that comes from.
It comes from always being told.
I know, homie.
That's where it comes from.
And I'm trying to figure out how to fix it, because I know you feel like our little shit isn't that big of a deal. I don't want you doing that in other aspects of life, and it like hurting your growth, and I don't know how to fix it, and it bugs me like crazy, because I like, from everything we talked about, I understand why you do it though. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's just unhealed trauma.
Yeah, and even Sabrina says it comes from never being good enough and someone telling this over and over, and it sticks with us.
Right.
How do you get stuff like that unstuck? Because I feel like I'm not good enough a lot of times too.
I think it has a lot to do with years and years and years of being lied to and cheated on, and like I don't know what's real. It's
See, you expect everyone to like treat you like crap. And that sucks, homie. Like you feel like the first thing, people's first instinct is to treat you like crap. Like that.
well, be
I wish I could give you a
disrespected.
hug through the phone.
I feel like it's just disrespected. Like I'm always
Right.
disrespected. It's not being treated like crap. It's being disrespected. Because I'm so loyal, Kyle.
Right.
When I say I'm going to do something, I don't quit. I'm not a quitter, even with PodTox. Like
Right.
when I told you I was going to do it, there's been times where I've wanted to give up. I'm not going to lie.
It's stressful. It's a lot of work.
But in all reality, it comes from just years of being told it comes from years of just.
Is it even the kids stuff though? Like, because you feel like you get disrespect from them sometimes.
Well, I do get
struggle with that.
disrespected from them, but that's learned behavior, unfortunately.
Yeah. Excuse me. I struggle with that too, because that's one of the number one things that bugs me with the kids. Because if I had treated my parents like that, I would have been
Oh
killed.
my God. There are
Like,
things that my kids will do, and my head will just whip around. I'll be like, oh my God, if I did that, I would have got the shit out of me, or I would have been punished for 7 months straight. Like,
well, and you can't even. It's like you can't even punish them anymore. Like nothing phases them.
no. And I was just talking to my son's therapist about this. The therapist even told me, like, you taking things away is counterproductive at this point. Don't take
Wait,
things away.
why? Why?
Because the therapist said there's some kids that just does not work for, and when you keep taking things away, it's counterproductive. So it's like I had to have this whole, like my son punched his bedroom window and broke it, but he expected to have his tablet, phone, computer, and PlayStation.
That's my
I gotta
thing.
see what.
Right.
I gotta pay. I have to pay for the window. It is my responsibility.
Do you think that's because there's no accountability anymore, and there's no sense of like you remember back in the day we would mow some lawns or do whatever work
Right.
to
Or
get
take it that head.
clean.
Or when you seen that the trash can was filled, you could just walk it out yourself without having to be told.
There was a sense of pride in it, and we actually earned things. Kids don't have to do that anymore, so it's like
My son's room is a complete disaster. It bothers me, Kyle, more than anything in this world. I cannot explain it to you because it brings back the chaos of my addiction when I open up his door. He chooses to live like that because dad would live
that's
like that.
how.
And he used to live with
Right.
dad the majority of his life, so it was acceptable. In my house, it's not acceptable. I don't like that. But his therapist is like, you can't expect them to have a clean room. Kids with ADHD, their brains are scattered. Like, your expectations are unrealistic, mom.
See, I don't understand that. Are they really
Right.
that?
But Kyle, I'm telling you, literally, this therapist was like telling me, like, he is not his father. Because I told him I see a lot of dad's ways and it bothers me. It does. I'm sorry. Like, it does. I wish I could wash some of that out of him.
I mean, they say that he's not his dad, but whenever there are a lot, it kind of
Right.
is turning into him.
Right.
You know
Do you
what I mean?
ever see that with your kids where you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's the other parent 1,000 times over? And
Yeah.
it bugs you. And
Yeah.
for me, it bothers me because that is a constant reminder of the poor choice that I made in choosing a partner.
I'm with you there, homie. Because, yeah, you're
Like,
right.
honestly, guys, if you're hearing this and you don't have kids, please be careful with who you have children with. I'm saying that with all love.
And that's, I don't know. There's got to be, I'm curious about the therapist telling you all that stuff because.
So also, hold on, it wasn't only the therapist that just told me that. I went into an IEP meeting with my son's whole team, okay? The school psychologist, who is he's a psychologist and he's contracted with the school, so he doesn't work at the school.
Right.
Did this big evaluation on my son. He literally told me, you cannot expect that child to have a clean room. He's another one that told me that. He said the way that his brain is scattered, he does not see things the way that you would see things. And that clutter is organized clutter in his brain. That's what they told me.
Okay, and I understand organized clutter because I get like that too.
Oh, it ain't organized clutter in my opinion. I open up the door. Right.
Okay. I see his side of things because I do. I don't always keep things like other people would
Perfect.
like them, but I know where everything's is, and it's the way I feel like I need it. But there's got to be some kind of compromise to it because there has to be some type of like responsibility for the space. Because
Right.
that's
That's what bothers me because I have gone into that space and cleaned it multiple times. Even when dad was here, he used to ride him over his room all the time. and it's just still not getting done. And it's like those constant reminders that the people are like, kids with ADHD, ignore that. They don't hear when you're saying things like that. It's just not heard.
There's still got to be something else. Like, there's got to be something that, even if he doesn't have to clean his room, he has to do. Like, there has to be some.
I'm making him now. I make him take out the trash. Like, you're going to earn certain things. I'm not just going to give it to you so easily anymore. Like, I'm trying to restructure things because I made him. He was cleaning his room the other day because he even knew how it was like. And I was like, if you don't do it, you just have no respect for me. Like that, this is don't. And he's been coming into my room a lot, and I'm like, you're coming into my room because it's clean. Like
and it's not just respect for you; it's respect for himself.
Right. So I just ordered him a new dresser today. I'm going to get rid of his old dresser. I'm going to help him reorganize all his clothes. I'm going to do it one more time, and I'm going to make sure that in small increments, he doesn't let that room get out of control again. But I'm struggling because it is a struggle.
I'm curious if it keeps up, like if he continues to care, because because kids now, it's like it has to be their idea too. So you have to find ways to make it their idea.
Right. And it's weird that two different, like a psychologist and a therapist both said that to me. Like, you absolutely have to understand that his brain doesn't think the way that your brain thinks.
I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's our generation too. I feel like a lot of the kids are
disrespectful.
They're disrespectful and soft and just.
You can't parent because if you parent the way your parents parent it, it's abusive, right?
Right, and it's just like I now my parents actually beat me.
Me too. I used to get beat.
Besides that, I don't feel like I was abused in a lot of ways. I mean, it was physical stuff. My mom, it was mental stuff, but she's also a psychopath. I don't know. I feel like asking kids to do basic things it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Right. It shouldn't be. It's like, it shouldn't, but something has shifted lately. And a lot of parents are feeling the same disrespect that we feel. And it's like, they just want to be handed things. Like, we had to work for things.
You know what someone mentioned the other day, though? I feel like I saw it on another podcast. Back in like the 70s, parents were feeling the same way about kids. So is it just a generational thing and we're just old as fuck? Probably.
I think it is generational.
But I don't know. I still feel like it is different, though. There has been some sort of shift where it's not.
Well, I have to say, I think one of those things that created that shift was a few years ago, the 19.
Yeah.
The C.
Yep.
I don't know if I could say it, but right. So if everybody could read between my lines, a few years ago, what went down, I think really made a pause with kids, and kids didn't really know how to react. Like, the world shut down. They couldn't go to school. Their socialization stopped. That's what I think was a catalyst for our kids to be different.
I think the hard thing was, on top of that, social media. I mean, social media has been growing for quite some time. But like 2016, 2017, social media really, really started going. And then that happened. And it was just like those things combined were a perfect storm for creating this.
Right. And I think that what we're seeing with our kids is because of that. It's because of that.
I wonder how the next generation is going to be like.
I'm scared. Listen, I'm scared to make it through with my kids. Like, I got 13, 11, 8, and 5, and I'm already scared.
Well, and the crazy thing is, you got to understand, it's not like this all over the world. It's America. There are a couple other countries where it's similar, but America is one of the bigger spaces where there is this big divide. you go to China, it's not like this. There are a whole bunch of ones. That's just a really big example because I've seen a lot about it. But I don't know. It's super interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we're old if we make it that far.
And also, do you think that like social, I think like the video games, all of it, like look how creative the video games have evolved over the years. Like going back from Atari, Nintendo, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
You know, all the different video games, look at the graphics on them. It's almost like they live in a fantasy world, these kids. They could go to a fantasy world and leave like the presence of your home almost.
So I felt like that stuff was okay until social media came around because they started
Right.
influencers. When influencers became big, which I mean that's kind of what we're doing too, but they're seeing all these glamorous lives and stuff, and then people do start getting into games or whatever where they want to act that life out because they can't do it in real life. It wasn't just a game anymore, it was something they were missing.
What do you think, though, about these games and violence and like all the gang? Like, I hear my son talk, and it's bothersome because it's all about, you know, it's just I don't like it.
It depends what it is, and it depends on the kid. Cause like I don't know, like Carson, I would not really be bothered, you know, if she was like, if there was a halfway violent game or something that I was playing, as long as there's not cussing and all types of stuff.
But there's a lot of cussing on GT. I hear what goes coming out of my son's room, and it makes me want to vomit.
GTA is pretty bad.
Right.
But I feel like we've made a very clear distinction about what is real and accepted and what's video games or fake or TV or something. We've made that line. So I feel like it's not too bad. Once you start hitting like jacks, maybe it's effective. Like there is that influence there.
I think it definitely it makes the kids think more violently. Like I don't know. I see it. I've seen the negative changes, especially with these kids being home more. Like when school stopped and all that, they ain't doing their schoolwork. They're all up on video games. Like that's what happened, and it tainted them.
Mess with them.
Right.
All right, we're running past. If we run too much longer, it's going to be hard to download all this.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right, that was fun.
Well, hey, that took a whole nother turn, but guess what? It was therapeutic. So thank you.
Yeah, we planned on some very different conversations.
Right, and it just went the way it went today.
Cool. Hey, that's a podcast. I had fun. You good?
Me too. Thank you.